In my first life, my brother married the heiress to the Sterling Corporation fortune. She was frail, and after 7 years, they were still childless. I married her half-sister, the one born on the wrong side of the blanket, and we had triplet sons. My father-in-law, holding my boys, was ecstatic. He offered me the keys to the kingdom, the company my brother had coveted his entire life. Consumed by jealousy, my brother murdered my family and me. I opened my eyes, and I was back on the day we chose our brides. This time my brother spoke first, his voice cutting through the room. He wanted the illegitimate one. He shot me a triumphant smirk. "Enjoy dying alone," he sneered. "This time, the sons and the company will be mine." I just smiled. If someone had to be the fool, I was glad it was him. The first thing I heard when I came to was my brother Caleb's excited voice. "Mom, I made my decision. I'm going to marry Sophia Reed." That sentence confirmed it. We were both back. My brother, Caleb Hayes, was my stepmother Eleanor's son. My father, already married to her, met my mother and lied, telling her he was single. They fell in love. It wasn't until after I was born that my father let the truth slip. My mother, unable to live with the fact that she had unknowingly become a homewrecker, walked into a river and never came out. My father brought me home to the Hayes family, passing me off as Eleanor's second child. But I was never one of them. I had no standing, a constant thorn in the side of Eleanor and her precious Caleb. In our previous life, when the time came for the business alliance with the Sterlings, Caleb married the true heiress, Claire Sterling. I was given her half-sister, Sophia, the family's secret shame. Caleb and Eleanor's plan was to use the marriage to Claire to absorb the Sterling Corporation. But they miscalculated. The family patriarch, Mr. Sterling, adored Sophia. With his favor, my career at Sterling Corporation skyrocketed. My brother, on the other hand, got nothing but a cold shoulder. Mr. Sterling, our father-in-law, was old school and obsessed with his legacy. He made a promise. The first one to give him a grandchild to carry on the family name would inherit everything. Within the first year of our marriage, Sophia gave me triplet sons. By the time my boys were 7, Caleb's wife, the great Heiress, hadn't produced a single child. I remember Mr. Sterling holding my sons, his laughter booming through the mansion. "I only had 2 daughters," he'd said, "but now I finally have grandsons." He turned to me, his eyes gleaming. "Ethan, let the boys take the Sterling name, and I'll draw up the will right now. The company is yours." I agreed. On the day the new will was to be signed, my brother came to visit. While I was distracted, he snuck into the basement and opened the gas valve. The explosion was instantaneous. We all died. And now, here I am, back at the beginning. I could tell Eleanor was hesitant about Caleb's choice. But he leaned in and whispered something in her ear. Her face lit up with greedy understanding. He must have told her about Mr. Sterling's favoritism and Sophia's proven fertility. Eleanor cleared her throat, fixing me with a venomous glare. "Ethan, Caleb has decided to marry Sophia. That leaves Claire for you." She sniffed disdainfully. "An illegitimate son, like you marrying the legitimate heiress. Consider it a gift from your brother. Don't you forget it." She slid a document across the table. "And to show your gratitude, you'll sign this agreement, formally renouncing any claim to the Hayes family inheritance." I put on a look of stunned surprise. "Of course. This is great. I'll sign." A grin spread across Eleanor's face as she snatched a pen from her purse. The moment my signature was on the paper, she ripped the document away, beaming as she pulled Caleb to his feet. As they left, I heard Caleb's muffled laugh. What an idiot. Once I marry Sophia and take over both the Hayes and Sterling fortunes, we'll see if he comes crawling to me for pocket money. They had no idea. Hayes Enterprises was a criminal enterprise, a front for the mob's money laundering operations. In 3 years, it would all come crashing down when their activities were exposed, bringing threats and blackmailers to their door. In my past life, I was the one who kept them from being dragged down with it, spending a fortune in money and favors to bury the scandal and protect the family name. My father had died 3 years prior, leaving Eleanor in charge. In reality, she did nothing but drain the company's accounts for her lavish lifestyle. Caleb was no better. They were completely oblivious to the sacrifices I'd made. Now, they were practically begging me to jump off their sinking ship. How could I possibly refuse? Besides, Caleb's new life with Sophia was going to be far from the fairy tale he imagined. The real show was just getting started. Caleb and I had a joint wedding ceremony. In my past life, Mr. Sterling had personally introduced me, Sophia's new husband, to every influential guest in the room. This time, I watched as he led that same procession of CEOs and socialites straight toward Caleb. Across the crowded ballroom, Caleb shot me a look of pure, unadulterated triumph. A melodic voice sounded from behind me. "Does that bother you?" I turned to see my bride, Claire. I shook my head. A man's future is built on his own merits. Claire studied me, a flicker of surprise on her cool, elegant face. A small smile finally touched her lips. "You're interesting, Ethan Hayes." Just then, Mr. Sterling re-entered the room, respectfully escorting a white-haired gentleman. Caleb's posture straightened, his expression turning eager and sycophantic as he rushed forward to greet them. The old man, however, seemed unimpressed, offering only a few polite words before turning to leave. That's when he saw me. He stopped, his brow furrowed in thought. Seeing this, Caleb immediately tried to wave me away. "You're in the wrong section. Can't you see you're bothering him with your cheap suit?" He turned back to the old man, bowing his head. "Mr. Russo, please forgive him. We don't know him. I'll get rid of him right now." Before he could finish, Mr. Russo strode past him and seized my hand. "You're Ethan Hayes, aren't you?" I smiled. "Mr. Russo, it's good to see you again." The color drained from Caleb and Eleanor's faces. Mr. Russo beamed. "That presentation you gave in London last year was brilliant. It completely changed my perspective on the market. I had a family emergency and had to leave abruptly. I kicked myself for not getting your contact info." "The honor was all mine, sir," I replied smoothly. I gave my number to his assistant. Suddenly, the powerful figures who had been orbiting Caleb swarmed toward me. Their interest peaked. Just like last time, the center of gravity had shifted. Caleb's face was a mask of rage, his nose practically twitching with fury. He grabbed Sophia's arm and stormed off. My phone buzzed. A text from him: "Just you wait. Sterling Corporation will be mine." After the wedding, I took Claire back to my apartment. As I went to open the door, she stopped me. "You're a good man." "Decent," she said, her voice soft but firm. "I know we just got married, but I'm sorry, I can't be a real wife to you." She looked me straight in the eye. "We can live our own lives. No questions asked." How does that sound? Claire was stunning. With a model's figure and movie star looks, she was breathtakingly beautiful in her wedding dress, drawing lingering glances from every man we passed. I held her gaze. "You're in love with someone else, aren't you?" She nodded. "When I was a little girl, my family went on vacation to a lake house," she began quietly. "I snuck out to go swimming, but the current was too strong. I slipped and was pulled under. I couldn't get back up. A boy about my age saved me. I've been in love with him ever since, but I never found out who he was." She gave a small, self-deprecating smile. "It's silly, I know." From a chain around her neck, she pulled out a small pendant. It was half of a custom-engraved charm. Slowly, I reached into my own shirt and pulled out the matching piece. Claire's eyes widened. "It was me," I said. In my first life, it took me years to learn the truth. The reason Claire never had children was because she and Caleb never had a real marriage. She was still in love with the boy who had saved her all those years ago. Me. Back then, I had a wife and children. I couldn't act on it. Not until I discovered Sophia's betrayal, right before my brother murdered us all. Reborn, I wasn't going to make the same mistake. I was going to be with a woman who truly loved me. Claire just stared at me, her large eyes glistening with tears. I didn't push. I simply escorted her to her room like a gentleman. There was no need to rush. But just as I closed the door to my own room, a soft knock echoed through the apartment. I opened it to find Claire standing there, her expression resolute. "I've waited long enough," she whispered, and then she was in my arms. The night was ours. Our honeymoon flew by, and soon Caleb and I both started at Sterling Corporation, ostensibly to learn the ropes. Just like in my past life, Caleb was fast-tracked, shooting up the corporate ladder thanks to Mr. Sterling's misplaced favor. He even cornered me in the break room one day, offering me $1 million to quit. I told him where he could stick it. His face turned purple with rage. I, on the other hand, kept my head down and worked. I applied the skills I'd actually learned in college and started a steady climb. Soon enough, I was at the same managerial level as Caleb. The day my promotion was announced, my team insisted on taking me out for drinks. Just as we were about to leave, Caleb burst into the office, his voice booming. "Drinks are on me tonight, everyone. We're celebrating. My wife is pregnant." He shot a triumphant glare directly at me. "Once my son is born, I'll be the one running Sterling Corporation. And when that happens, there will be promotions and raises for all my loyal employees." I had to bite my cheek to keep from laughing. In my first life, the day before the explosion, I was homesick from work. I hadn't told Sophia. That was when I overheard her on the phone, her voice a hushed whisper. "It's your fault. I'm pregnant again. Ethan hasn't touched me in weeks. How am I supposed to explain this one?" A pause. "Fine. I'll just say the baby came early." "God, you're insatiable. Haven't the first 3 been enough for you?" My world came crashing down. I used every connection I had. It didn't take long to uncover the truth. Sophia had been having a long-term affair with Mr. Sterling's personal assistant, Mark. Mr. Sterling had forbidden their relationship, so they hatched a plan. She would marry me, continue the affair, and pass Mark's children off as mine to inherit the Sterling fortune. Once Mr. Sterling was gone, they would arrange a little accident for me, and Mark would take his place. They never got the chance. My brother's murderous rage got to us first. Now, looking at Caleb puffing out his chest, all I could see was a giant, green neon sign flashing above his head. He scowled at me. "What are you looking at?" "When my son is born, this company is mine. And if you come crying to me, then maybe I'll consider letting you work security at the front gate." I just chuckled. "Sure, Caleb. I'll be waiting." I didn't expect him to be so impatient. The very next day, he went straight to Mr. Sterling to announce Sophia's pregnancy. Mr. Sterling was overjoyed. "Really? This is wonderful. My very first grandchild." He clapped Caleb on the back. "Excellent. If it's a boy, I'll—" Caleb's eyes gleamed with avarice. But before Mr. Sterling could finish his sentence, Claire, who was sitting next to me, suddenly turned pale and covered her mouth, a wave of nausea hitting her. I rushed to her side. Mr. Sterling dropped his cane and hurried over. We took her straight to the hospital. The doctor confirmed it. Claire was pregnant. I looked at her, my heart swelling with a joy so pure it almost hurt. Caleb, standing in the corner, sneered. "What a coincidence. She sees Sophia is pregnant, and suddenly she is too? Did you pay the doctor off to try and cheat your way into the inheritance?" The doctor's head snapped up, his expression hardening. "Excuse me, sir. That is a serious accusation against the integrity of this hospital. We could sue you for slander." Caleb, chastised, began to sputter indignantly. I stepped in front of him, apologized to the doctor, and firmly escorted my brother out of the room. "What's your problem, Ethan?" he yelled from the hallway. "Trying to look like the big hero?" He pointed a finger at me. "You just wait. Sophia's having a boy. Triplets. I know it." I just smiled and nodded. He was right about the triplets. He was just wrong about who the father was. 6 months later, Caleb took Sophia for a non-invasive prenatal test. The second he got the results, he called me, practically shouting into the phone. "We got the results. It's triplet boys, just like I said." His voice was thick with smug satisfaction. "So, Ethan, are you and Claire going to check? Or are you too scared?" I was on a walk with Claire, my hand resting on her stomach, feeling the gentle flutter of life inside. I was happier than I had ever been. "Instead of worrying about me, maybe you should spend some time with your own wife," I said calmly. "Oh, don't you worry," he shot back. "Mr. Sterling sent his assistant, Mark, to personally look after her." I couldn't help it. A laugh escaped me. "I heard your wife is craving spicy food," Caleb continued, oblivious. "Everyone knows that means you're having a girl. TSK, TSK. Looks like you lose this round, little brother. Did you ever go to high school biology, Caleb?" I retorted. "Besides, I don't care if we have a son or a daughter. I'll love our child no matter what. Because the child is mine." He started cursing, and I hung up. A few days later, Sterling Corp's most important partner came to visit the office. Caleb, hair slicked back with a thick layer of gel, stood in front of me, ready to greet him. But the man, a prominent investor, walked right past Caleb without a second glance. He came straight to me, a wide grin on his face, and pulled me into a warm embrace. It turned out he was Mr. Sterling's brother-in-law, Claire's uncle. Caleb was left standing there, his face darkening with every passing second. Finally, the investor clapped Mr. Sterling on the shoulder. "I like this one, Sterling. Ethan's a good man. The company is in good hands." "That's not decided yet," Caleb blurted out. "My wife is due any day now," Dad said himself. "Whoever has the first son inherits the company." The smile vanished from Mr. Sterling's face. "Boy or girl, it makes no difference to me. Well, have I ever said such a thing?" The investor said nothing, just gave Mr. Sterling a knowing pat on the shoulder and left. After Mr. Sterling also walked away, I heard Caleb muttering under his breath, "Old fool. Who do you think you're kidding? Just wait until my wife gives you your first grandson. You'll hand over this company whether you like it or not." I gave my brother one last look. After Claire and I had truly opened up to each other, she told me the truth about things Caleb had never known. I had no intention of enlightening him. With 2 months left until her due date, Claire's belly was round and full. I was a nervous wreck, baby-proofing the entire apartment, covering every sharp corner with soft padding. Claire would just watch me, a gentle smile playing on her lips. One afternoon, as we were about to head downstairs for a walk, a call came in from Caleb. He announced that he had consulted some mystic who told him today was a particularly auspicious day. He and Sophia had decided to go for a C-section. "He's inducing labor at 7 months?" Claire gasped. "Is he insane?" We rushed to the hospital. Mr. Sterling was already there, pacing furiously. Sophia was already in the operating room. When Caleb saw us arrive, he beamed, waving a stack of papers in his hand. "Just you wait, Dad. Your 3 grandsons are about to make their debut," he said excitedly. "And while we're waiting, why don't you just sign this will? I've had it all drawn up for you. All it needs is your signature." Mr. Sterling's face was a mask of stone. "Am I on my deathbed? Or are you just that eager to see me in the ground?" He glared at Caleb. "You have some nerve." He was so furious he began to cough violently, and in a fit of rage, he hurled the glass of water in his hand against the floor. As Claire and I rushed to steady him, Caleb flinched back in shock. With a cry of alarm, he stumbled backward, lost his footing, and tumbled down the nearby flight of stairs, landing in a heap at the bottom. Just then, the doors to the operating room swung open. "Family of the patient," a nurse called out. Caleb scrambled to his feet and hobbled over. "Is it a boy or a girl?" he demanded. The nurse gave him a withering look. "The mother delivered full-term babies and is stable. Once she's moved to recovery, the family needs to—" "Boy or girl?" Caleb roared. The nurse didn't flinch. "This is a hospital. Keep your voice down." She adjusted her glasses. "You have 3 beautiful, healthy daughters. Congratulations." Caleb stared at her, dumbfounded, then sank to the floor. "Impossible," he mumbled over and over. "That's impossible." The nurse, seeing his state, wisely took the newborns back to the nursery. Suddenly, Caleb's head shot up. "There's been a mistake. You mix 'em up," he shouted. "Those are my children." Mr. Sterling, clutching his heart, began hammering his cane on the floor. I quickly gave him his heart medication while signaling for a doctor to get Caleb to orthopedics. His left leg was broken. After they put him in a cast, the first thing he said was, "I want a paternity test. There's no way those 3 girls are mine." Hearing this, Mr. Sterling swung his cane and cracked it across Caleb's other leg. A sickening snap echoed in the quiet hallway. Now, both his legs were broken. They put him in a room with Sophia, both legs suspended in traction. 3 months later, on the day Caleb and his family of 5 were discharged, my Claire went into labor. I stood vigil outside the delivery room, my mind racing with 1,000 worries. Caleb appeared beside me, silent, his eyes glued to the closed doors. 2 hours later, a nurse emerged, holding a small bundle. "Family? Congratulations, it's a healthy baby girl. Mother and daughter are doing fine." I took my daughter in my arms, my heart overflowing. After asking about Claire, I turned and saw Caleb staring at the baby, a massive, triumphant grin spreading across his face. "Huh, see, Ethan, you had a daughter too," he crowed. "My lucky day. My girls were born first, so Sterling Corporation is still mine." The smile was still on his face when the nurse came out again. "Here you go, Dad," she said, handing me another bundle. "This is the little brother." "Congratulations," she beamed. "You have beautiful twins." Caleb froze. "That's not possible," he stammered. "It wasn't like this in the last life." He went home and demanded a paternity test for his children and insisted that I do one for mine as well. Claire and I found the whole thing ridiculous, but we agreed. To my surprise, Sophia didn't object, even though she knew Caleb wasn't the father. Mr. Sterling didn't comment on the tests, but he shot Caleb a look of pure contempt before pulling me aside and clapping me on the shoulder. "Keep up the good work, son," he said. The results came back quickly. The triplet girls were biologically Caleb's. But my children, my son and daughter, shared no DNA with me. The entire family was present when the results were read, including Eleanor. "Dad, see? Ethan's kids aren't his." Caleb waved the report, his eyes shining with manic glee. Eleanor smirked, crossing her arms. "Well, Mr. Sterling, it seems your precious Claire has been cheating on my son. This is quite the scandal, isn't it? But we're willing to be magnanimous. Just sign the company over to Caleb, and we can forget this whole messy affair. After all, even if they're girls, at least they carry our family bloodline. The results have to be wrong." Claire cried, her face pale. "I know who the father of my children is. It's right here in black and white," Caleb sneered. "Don't bother trying to deny it." He turned to me, his smile dripping with false pity. "Hey, don't feel too bad, Ethan. The kids might not be yours, but you still have the wife, right? With a woman like that, I'm sure you could try again for one of your own." Through it all, I just smiled. Finally, I spoke. "I demand a second test." Caleb roared with laughter. "Still won't give up, huh? Fine by me." His little eyes glittered. "But let's make a deal. If the results come back the same, you have to go out on the street with a megaphone and shout, 'My wife cheated on me.' Then you'll crawl to me on your hands and knees, like a turtle, and watch me sign the papers that make me CEO of Sterling Corporation." We each plucked a strand of hair and handed the samples to Mr. Sterling. I turned to him. "Sir, did you take the last samples to the lab yourself?" He said no, his assistant, Mark, had handled it. As soon as he said the name, I saw a flicker of panic in Sophia's eyes. I smiled. "This time, I'll deliver the samples myself." "No way," Caleb shouted. "What if you try to switch them?" "A valid point," I conceded. "In that case, let's go together." Caleb readily agreed. On the way, he leaned over to Sophia and whispered, "He's just delaying the inevitable. This is going to be fun to watch." Sophia's expression was rigid. I just smiled and wrapped my arm around Claire's shoulder. As we arrived at the testing facility, I held the sealed evidence bags in my hand. But as we walked toward the entrance, Sophia stumbled as she passed me, lurching forward and crashing into me with a cry. The bags flew from my grasp and scattered on the pavement. A sudden gust of wind caught the small, open packets containing the hair samples and whisked them away, lost to the street. "You did that on purpose." Caleb screamed at me. "You tripped her to destroy the evidence. You think this will stop the test?" I ignored his yapping. "The hair is gone. We could just provide new samples." But as we turned to enter the building, several masked men appeared from around the corner. They were holding knives, and they were running straight for us. Sophia shrieked and ran. Caleb shoved me directly into their path and took off right behind her. I pushed Claire behind me, telling her to call 911 and face them empty-handed. They were obviously hired thugs, but whoever sent them didn't know one crucial detail about me. I was a combat veteran. Thankfully, the police arrived quickly. I walked away with a few scrapes, but Claire was completely unharmed. Mr. Sterling was livid and ordered a full investigation to find who was responsible. Then, he personally took our new samples to the lab. On the day the results were delivered, Mr. Sterling called us all to his study. Caleb was already there, a megaphone sitting on the table beside him, a look of feverish anticipation on his face. Just as Mr. Sterling was about to open the envelope, he suddenly clutched his chest, gasping, and collapsed to the floor, convulsing. Claire cried out and ran to find his emergency medication. But Sophia was faster. She pulled a small vial from her purse, uncapped it, and moved to pour the pills into Mr. Sterling's mouth. In a flash, I was across the room, my hand clamped around her wrist. "What are you doing, Ethan?" she shrieked. "Are you trying to kill him?" "No," I said, my voice low and cold. "That would be you." At my words, Mr. Sterling stopped shaking. He sat up, perfectly fine. Sophia's face went white with shock. Just then, the doors to the study swung open and a team of police officers filed in, surrounding us. I took the vial of nitroglycerin from Sophia's hand and gave it to the lead detective. They took both her and a sputtering Caleb into custody. Eleanor screamed and protested, but no one paid her any attention. The lab results came back from the police. The pills in the vial had been replaced with a fast-acting poison. The person who swapped them was Mr. Sterling's assistant, Mark. Under interrogation, the whole story came out. It was a conspiracy between Mark and Sophia. Caleb's 3 daughters were not his. Just like in the last life, they were Mark's. With the paternity test looming, Sophia knew her secret was about to be exposed. Her reputation would be ruined, and any chance of inheriting the Sterling fortune would be gone. So, she decided to kill her own father. That way, the truth would die with him, and she would still inherit at least half of his estate. What Sophia didn't count on was me. I already knew everything from my past life. This time, I went to Mr. Sterling first and told him the whole story. He agreed to help me set a trap. He faked the heart attack, baiting Sophia into revealing the poison pills and exposing herself. Sophia was sent to prison to await sentencing. When Caleb found out the truth, he went on a rampage, destroying his entire house, screaming about how Sophia had made a fool of him, saddling him with 3 daughters that weren't even his and costing him the Sterling fortune. Right on cue, the news about Hayes Enterprises' illegal activities broke. I was the anonymous source. I couldn't let them continue to harm innocent people. Eleanor, who had done nothing but live off the company's blood money since my father's death, was in a full-blown panic. But this wasn't a problem you could buy your way out of. In the end, Caleb threw his own mother under the bus, pinning all the crimes on her. Eleanor, who had expected her son to protect her, completely snapped. She attacked him, scratching his face to ribbons. In their screaming match, the truth about my parentage finally came out. When Mr. Sterling learned they had lied to him for years, claiming I was Eleanor's son, he was furious. Their deceit was the final straw. He washed his hands of them completely. Eleanor received a life sentence. And me? Mr. Sterling personally appointed me as the executive vice president of Sterling Corporation. I don't care about your family background, he told me. What infuriates me is the deception. A man with that kind of character could never lead this company down the right path. He clapped me on the shoulder, a genuine smile on his face. But you, Ethan, I trust you. It should have been over. On my children's first birthday, Mr. Sterling threw a massive party for his grandchildren. During the celebration, he officially announced that I would be his successor. Later, I went to the restroom and found Caleb there. Thanks to the inheritance document he'd forced me to sign, I was completely insulated from the Hayes Enterprises fallout. Caleb, however, was ruined. He was drowning in debt, yet still carried himself with the empty arrogance of a disgraced prince. It took a couple of broken teeth from a loan shark to finally bring him back to reality. Now, here he was, dressed in a janitor's uniform. You came back too, didn't you? He asked, his voice flat. I nodded. Why didn't you tell me? He roared, his voice cracking. You enjoyed watching me get played for a fool, didn't you? Watching me lose everything? I nodded again. Why would I do anything else? I thought for a moment, then decided to grant him one last piece of truth. You had it wrong from the start, Caleb. In both lifetimes. The reason Mr. Sterling initially favored Sophia's husband wasn't because he loved Sophia more. It was because Claire never wanted the company. She loves art and literature. She begged her father to give the company to her sister. And he wasn't obsessed with having a grandson. He gave me the company in our first life because he saw my potential. He saw that I was dedicated and hardworking. You were so focused on having a son that you never once tried to prove your own worth. That's why he gave up on you. It was never about Sophia having daughters. Your failure was entirely your own. Caleb was silent for a long time, his face twisting into a grotesque mask. Finally, he forced a smile. Come on, little brother. Help me out here. You're the heir to the Sterling fortune now. All you have to do is say the word, and my creditors will back off. I looked at his pathetic, pleading face and remembered him chasing me through the house with a stick when we were kids, calling me a stray dog the family had taken in. So I smiled and repeated his own words back to him. You're just a dog. Shouldn't you be grateful just to have scraps to eat? This was Dad's company too, he yelled. For his sake. His sake. I cut him off. What about my mother's sake when he destroyed her life? Or my sake when he brought me into his home only to let you and your mother torture me? It's over, Caleb. You will never get another thing from me in this life. I'm going to build a good life. You can go be a cockroach in the gutter where you belong." He started screaming. Security guards heard the commotion and dragged him out, throwing him from the venue. As they hauled him away, he fixed me with a dark, hateful stare, muttering something under his breath. Later that night, after I put the children to bed, I was heading back to my room when I saw a dark shadow flicker in the kitchen. I walked toward it without hesitation. The moment I stepped through the doorway, a blade flashed in the dim light, driving straight for my heart. Caleb's wild laughter filled the small space. I was going to open a gas line, see if I could get another do-over. But killing you now is just as good. See, Ethan? In the end, I still win. He let go of the knife's handle, expecting me to fall. Instead, the knife clattered harmlessly to the floor. It hadn't even pierced my shirt. I brushed myself off. Before Caleb could react, my security detail emerged from the shadows and tackled him to the ground. "I knew you wouldn't give up," I said calmly. "So I came prepared." I tapped my chest. "Stall-proof vest?" And the bodyguards were already in place. Caleb just roared like a caged animal as they dragged him away. I didn't spare him another glance. He was sentenced to a long prison term. I heard that his temper got him into trouble inside, and he was an outcast even among the other inmates. By the time he was released, his mind was gone. People said he wandered the streets, smiling to himself as he ate out of garbage cans. The day I heard that news, my daughter was singing a song for my wife and me, while my son was giving us both back rubs. "Are you tired?" I whispered to Claire, my hand resting on her belly. "You should rest." Our third baby was on the way. Across the room, Mr. Sterling was brewing tea, smiling as he called his grandchildren over to have the first taste. What goes around comes around. For the rest of my life, there was nothing but sunshine,